evening and welcome to the Drive at 5 on IntellectualRadio.com/. I'm your host, Roman, and we have a great show planned for you today. But first, the forecast from our IntellectualRadio.com weather center. Today, sunny skies turning to on during tonight. Rain and snow showers. Some roads will be slick, so be careful out there. A little chilly, high 33 degrees. Tomorrow will be a different story with cloudy skies, chilly with a chance of a morning snow showers here and there, high 35 degrees. Tomorrow night, cloudy, windy during the evenings and colder, high 28 degrees. Wednesday, cloudy, a little warmer, high 33 degrees. Thursday, cloudy with a chance of a snow shower in the morning, high 33 degrees. Friday, cloudy with an on and off snow showers, high 33 degrees. Saturday, the sun will be back, partly sunny skies with a chance of snow showers. Sunday, cloudy with another chance of snow showers. Yep. The Drive at 5 is also part of the fabulous 5 at 5 on intellectualradio.com/iHeart radio station. Here is the rest of your Monday night lineup. 10 a.m. starts with Marcus Sky's radio. 11 a.m. Becoming Dateable. 4 p.m. One Sister to Another. 6 p.m. Warriors Talk. 7 p.m. Talking with Tone. 9 p.m. Chronicles of Rom. Only on intellectualradio.com/iHeart radio station. So stay tuned to that. Tonight, my guest is a co-founder of Together Foundation, motivational speaker, and entrepreneur. Please welcome David A. Gathers. And to his right or left, which one? Right. We have a radio host, community leader, motivational speaker, and entrepreneur. What else you don't do?
Sleep sometimes.
Please give a Drive at 5 welcome to Queenie Green. Welcome to the drive, guys.
Thank you.
We're supposed to be the ones nervous.
Oh no, I'm not nervous. This is just tongue-tied today.
Okay.
Yeah, please give intellectualradio.com/iHeart radio station your background.
So my background, I'm David A. Gathers. I am the owner and the CEO of David A. Gathers Speaks, as well as the co-owner of the Together Foundation that's founded with my wife. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm a transformational leader, organizational leader, and I just believe in empowering our people to be the very best they can be.
All right. Yeah, I am a radio personality. I own WVOG Media Chicago. I'm a radio personality for a few years. Motivational speaker. That is just a recently added on title that pretty much everyone in my circle just started giving me, just being everyone's Dr. Phil almost.
But the female version of it.
Of course, female version of it. I like to, I talk and I like to uplift my people, and everyone calls me when they need that encouragement or they need that word. And also community leader. Same thing. I feel that our community needs some uplifting, some empowerment. I'm blessed in my life, and I would not be as blessed, and I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't have leaders and other entrepreneurs and mentors that brought me along the way. And I just don't feel like I can keep going unless I give that back.
Now tell us what's going on in today's Black community and why it's a standstill when it comes to our future. Some way, somehow, I feel like there's a standstill in the Black community. Some people may agree or disagree where I'm coming from, but it just seems like we're at a point that we were moving forward, then stop. Your thoughts?
I'll push back just a tad bit. I don't necessarily believe that we're at a standstill. We may be moving at a slower pace than usual, but currently, the temperature in our country is one that is highly motivated by racism. And so because of that, it has people kind of apprehensive about Do they actually have chances and opportunities because of so much racial tension that's going on? And it has taken the forefront of what's going on in society more so than some of the grassroots organizations, more so than the accomplishments that Black and Brown individuals are accomplishing. And so, because the headline is racism, it kind of blurs out everything else that takes place.
I feel similar, very similar. I don't think we're at a total standstill because there's a lot of brown people, black and brown people that are doing major things, whether it's locally, economically, around the world. You have a lot of the commercial celebrities that are building schools and building organizations, building entire communities for low income people, along with locally. So I don't think we are total at a total standstill, but I definitely do think that there is there's a more comfortable state that a lot of our communities are in because of the racial profile and because of the killing of our leaders and things like that. I just had a conversation with someone and we talked about how maybe it's just that our people don't think we're going to get that far with whatever we do. And Kobe Bryant's death actually sparked this conversation because with everything that goes on, there's a little
Hmm.
controversy. People thinking that there's more of a conspiracy theory, all kind of things going on, and just having that conversation.
Hmm.
And I think that may be a lot of it too, that a lot of our people sit at home and think, what can I do? Because let's just say if I did get big enough to start trying to wake up my people, they're probably going to kill me like they killed Malcolm, like they killed Martin. And so you have a lot of people that just don't want to put that foot forward because they're scared still, like our
Sound like
ancestors were.
sound like you agree with that statement she made, or is there a pushback to it?
I agree with her. Unfortunately for our people, we sometimes have a tendency to be afraid of success.
Why is that?
It's an unknown factor when it comes to being afraid of success. They're afraid because, for instance, if you become too large or you become too successful, and you decide to separate yourself from the homies,
Hmm.
then people are going to look at you like,
You
now
sold
you
out.
acting brand new, or you sold out.
Hmm.
You can't kick it with us no more. And so we always want to stay connected to our people. So it's like we'd rather stay connected to our people and live a comfortable, mediocre life than to excel and be great in life and help our people from that position of greatness.
Who is the defining voice in the black community now? Young community leaders say to the elders, "You don't speak for us. You don't speak for me anymore." Who is the defining voice in our community? Because there's a pushback. Jesse Jackson, you don't speak for us no more. Louis Farrakhan, Al Sharpton, those were the people who, like, when they talk, people, the black community listened. Now, all of a sudden, you don't speak for us no more. So, who's that defining voice that speak for us in the black community now?
I'll let you go first.
Unfortunately, being honest, unfortunately, well, you know what? Before I even answer that, let's break us down into groups
Okay.
because us, I would say the four people that's in this room right now is not the same us as my 18-year-old.
Okay.
It's not the same us as my 14-year-old. And us is not the same us as my grandparents are passed, but people my age is grandparents. We're not all the same us. So when you break that down, unfortunately, I think entertainment, media, um, love and hip hop, rappers, and all that speaks for our younger generation. They are right now who's speaking for my 18 and my 21-year-old right now. Um, I think that when it comes to our elders, you still do have those Jessies and Farrakhans that are speaking for our elders because they still look to them. for our age range, give or take, I don't believe we have many people speaking for us other than us. I can throw out a number of names that I know that I work with, people that I'm around on a regular basis that are in the community that are speaking for us right now as we speak. But they're not commercialized. They're not major names known. Right now, there's a show that I do every Tuesday night with Mr. Tyrone Muhammad. Right now, he's speaking for us. He's not commercialized, and his name is not global, but as of right now he's speaking for the communities. Right now, unfortunately, a lot of our politicians and pastors are speaking for the communities. Are they speaking correctly in the right content? Maybe, sort of, kind of. Yeah, that's another conversation.
Your thoughts?
So Queenie, she definitely hit the nail on the head when she said there's really isn't a standalone voice or a standalone uh, personality that speaks for all of us collectively. Each generation has some type of personality or some type of entity that speaks to them, not necessarily speaks for them. And what happens is we tend to view all of us in one whole collection of people when there's a diverse group of us. As she said, we have the 18-year-olds, we have the 25-year-olds, we have the 40-year-olds, and we have our elders. And each group has a different interest, and uh, each individual group do not have a collective leader saying, "Hey, I speak for the 60-year-olds. These are their issues." Or I speak for the 18-year-olds and these are their issues. And that's one of our problems in our society right now. There is no voice any longer. Unfortunately, take nothing away from Jesse, take nothing away from Louis Farrakhan, but they're disconnected from the community. Yeah, they know the issues of black and brown people across America,
Mhm.
but let's scale those issues back to the black and brown people in Chicago. Can you speak to those issues that they're facing? Can you speak to the fact that kids in Inglewood can't find jobs? Kids in Inglewood can't get a good education? Can you speak to the fact that kids in Austin and Garfield Park that they can't get jobs, they can't get a good education, that they can't
Adequate
even get
food.
right, they can't even get healthy food in their own communities. You can't get a Whole Foods in Inglewood or a Whole Foods in Austin and Lawndale. So these are local issues, and who's speaking to those issues? So again, there's no one voice for our community currently.
Some pushback there.
Okay.
Okay. Brother, I've been in the forefront. Not saying me, but some people out there, I've been in the forefront. I was marching.
Mm-hmm.
Even when you was a gleam in your mama's eye, I've been out there. Some of the stuff you will not have if it wasn't for us.
Mm-hmm.
The problem, you said, okay, there's a disconnect. But there's some young leaders out there, they are knuckleheads. They don't want to listen to the you say to what? Sit down, talk to me, brother. Sister, talk to me. Let's work collaboratively. It's not that. You hating, I'm hating. You gonna get a piece of the pie, so I'm gonna dog you until I get the piece of the pie. Then it's, and I'm sorry to say this, is if everybody, every man or woman for themselves. Your thoughts?
That mentality is there. However, that mentality doesn't speak for everyone. The reason why I believe that the elders and the young adults are disconnected because some of our elders do not want to pass the baton. Some of them do not want to pass on their knowledge. Some of them do not want to pass on their experiences. Some of them do not even want to pass on their network or their connections.
Yeah.
They want to stay there and be the sole voice until they die. For instance, uh, I just graduated with my master's degree in leadership. And one of the things that we discussed in leadership that if you're leading any organization and you care that much about the organization, there should be a transformation of leadership format in place, because you should not die at the voice of that organization. Because when you die at the voice of that organization, now it takes them time to find a new voice. Takes them time to become familiar with that new voice. It takes them time to become acclimated with that new voice. But if I reach a certain age in my organization and I realize that I'm getting to the point where it's time for me to leave, then I should be grooming someone else to take over that organization. It would be like an organization dying with their leader in place. It's like a father or a mother dying without life insurance for their children. You have done nothing to make sure that your children and your family goes on without you. And as the leader of an organization, if I really care about that organization like I say I do, I would make sure I'm grooming somebody to take my place in the event that I have to step out of office, I die in office, or whatever the case may be. And some of our leaders, they would rather die in office than to pass the baton. They would rather die in office than to teach a young man everything they know. They would rather die in office than to pass on everything to a next generation and allow them to run with the baton. Because why? Oh, we see things differently. Well, of course we see things differently. You had issues 60 years ago that I don't face today. So why would I keep echoing that sentiment when my issue is totally different in 2020?
So, Queen, do you think that's what's the missing point here? We're not presenting a transformational leadership structure in the Black community.
That's definitely a big issue. I mean, you see it with the mom and pops that are closed down. There's not many just within the communities. Older people who had stores, those candy stores those penny candy, penny cherry stores that we grew up in, the laundromat, the liquor store, whatever it was that those people owned back in the 80s and the 90s, their children nowadays sold the businesses off. They're not transferring into the business to keep that flowing within the community. So I think that's a definite now, as far as, and is as just not even within leadership, just within working and networking. um I think people are so strung up on competitions, so strung up on the thought of losing their position or losing whatever authority that they may have, or losing whatever space that they may have.
Mm.
People are so overprotective of their space, like there's not enough space for everyone. There's not enough money out here. There's enough money out here for everyone if people could just work together and get it together. But I know in our community, I know just with what I face. I face a lot of women that I wouldn't necessarily call them my elders, but I'm 39, and I know a lot of women that are in their 40s that they are not looking to pass the torch of what they know, who they connected with, those type of things with me. They rather, say to me, "Oh, I've been knowing this person for 25 years," and that's the end of the conversation. Or, "I've been working with this person for 10 years," and that's the end of the conversation, rather than saying, "Hey, this young sister is the young version of what I was doing back 20 years ago. Hey, you get together and maybe you can learn some things." Or even saying, "Hey, young sister, young brother." I actually spoke on this at another point on another show, that I would love to see that sort of chain of command situation. I would like to see that kind of reversed, whereas anyone that is in their 40s and 50s, you see someone in their 30s and early 40s doing what you used to do or what you were doing. You see that they're kind of starting the way you are. You pull for them. women, men that are in their 30s and 40s. You see these young sisters and these young brothers that are trying to do something in their 20s. Don't worry about them taking your spot, because there may be something that you can instill in them, and your legacy will continue to go on. If you instill your legacy, as you spoke on, if you instill your legacy into someone else, then no, you won't. You may not get pushed out the box. You may not make your money. Your legacy may move on with everyone that you plant that seed into. So until we start working together,
Mhm.
then it may be the way it is. Until I personally, just like with us, I do radio, you guys do radio. There is a number of online radio stations that have popped up in Chicago. I just recently saw the Halsted Mall on Halsted, about 115th-ish, 12th-ish, something like that, just recently purchased. Now, how come all of us couldn't get together and put a radio hub in the Halsted Mall and establish everyone else's business? Because everyone that's doing it, everyone else has t-shirt companies, flyer companies, graphic companies, music, of course. So people are doing so much, but we all have our own spaces. We all have our own buildings. We could have built a small Black Wall Street hub with that, but we can't talk to each other to do it.
But here's the problem. What one solution right now is that's missing from the Black community is transformational leadership.
Definitely
Yes,
missing.
definitely.
So we established that today.
Yes, that is the one of the huge issues. A
The
lack of
other
transformational
is
leadership.
legacy, which also
And
tra-
working together.
and working together. So we established that.
Hmm.
Now let's move on to the next. So we established that
Okay.
shooting is an everyday norm in our community, in a Black community.
Hmm.
How did we get to this point that every day a child goes out the door and it's a 50-50 chance that that child may make it or may not make it back home?
How did we get there? Lack of education, poor economic systems, um, part of upbringing, in the homes. Those were three issues that I would say right there. Um, you know,
But if you're a single mom,
hmm
okay, right now, $15, what we're working our way to $15 an hour.
hmm
Right now, the hourly wage is not cutting it. So I'm seeing sisters with 15 damn jobs. They barely have time to monitor it. They got to pick their child up, or they got to call their niece or their nephew or someone to take that responsibility. Once they get back home, your home is a mess. You don't feel like arguing. You don't feel like you're tired. You're wiped out. So when it comes to what you just said, there's a pushback. But now the brothers are doing it. You got brothers that's working 10 jobs, 5 jobs, 18, 20 hours a week. And then here comes the weekend, you dead to the world. So it's kind of like, okay, now they're saying the economy is doing great. I always say on the drive at 5, that's BS.
No, the economy is definitely doing the economy is doing absolutely great. We are just not a part of that great.
But see, how is it doing great? See, it's a
We
talking
are just not a part of that great that it's doing.
I'm saying. And I want people, because I learned this.
Okay.
We talked about transformational leadership. They always say this. I'm going to say it in the white schools. If you want to know how the economy is doing, you go to the FBI report. And if the robbery is up here, the economy is doing bad, because they research, meaning there's a white economy. They focus on the white economy. They don't focus on the Latino economy or the Black economy,
Because they're tearing it down.
because they go from the top down.
Mhm.
Now, if they go from the bottom up, you have what the economy is doing. So if the robbery is up here, while you're robbing, there's no money
Mhm.
on the ground, but it's money up top. See, it's called the Ronald Reagan method, the trickle down economic system.
Mhm.
So when money, they think it's trickling down, but it's not trickling down. So white people are punting cell phones, why they're robbing on the red line, blue line, green line, why they're robbing people, hunting it so they can get money. Why they're doing that? Because the job, like you said, the jobs is not there. Black people have their own economy because guess what? It's undetected. So once we start filing for unemployment, once those 23 weeks, it's hard to detect because under the Obama administration, we can renew, and you can still be detected. But now, hey, Trump is in there. Once you gone, you ain't getting no more money, buddy. So guess what? It's hard for you to detect how the black economy is doing.
Well,
Go
you
ahead.
can.
But now we don't want to stay here and we didn't get here by ourselves. So you started off with the guns and the everyday killings. Let's dissect that. The guns and the everyday killings are happening because it's designed to happen.
And why did you?
I mean, it's just been now. This is really, I guess, for some people it'll be cliche because we've heard it said numerous and numerous times over decades. We don't bring that into the neighborhood. We don't fly that into the neighborhood. We don't fly that in. We don't fly the guns and the ammunition, drugs into our communities. We, as far as the melanin skin color, we don't bring that into the community. So that's the reason why I say we didn't get here by ourselves. We got here of what is designed for us. Now, let's just be real. If our communities were cared about and it was designed for our communities and our children to progress, then it would be that way. If it was designed for books to be found in alleys more than it was guns found in alleys, there would be books, there would be barrels, there would be crates of books dropped off into parking lots, dropped off and found on streets like 87th and 79th Street, where you know that if you drop a barrel of guns and ammunition to go with it, they're going to be used. So when it comes to talking about how we got here, you have to also dissect how we got here. And it wasn't because we want to be here. We don't want this in our communities. We are our mothers, our grandparents expressing. We see the babies on the news crying about the gunshots coming through their doors and
Yeah.
homes and them ducking and losing. They wake up the next day and everybody from the classroom, that seat is empty now because you just saw him on the news. The babies are even explaining, we don't want this. So we're not here because we want to be here, and we're not even here really because we hate each other so much. We don't care about we saw this. No, we're here because it was designed for us to be here this way. Because BS ain't about nothing. If they wanted, if it progress was wanted for our communities, it would be books and barrels, just like it's guns and barrels. So don't get it twisted at all. Our young men in our neighborhoods are not bringing the guns into the neighborhood. They're just receiving them. And an idle mind is the devil's playground. If there are no jobs, there are no community centers, there are no resources, real resources, not Muhammad or this may be racist to some people to say, but Amir and them, that's not real resources. They're nachos and Italian beefs in the gas station. That's not real resources. That's not real food. This is what is offered to us in our community. But if they wanted us to have better, just like it is on the north side, I wanted to get off of Lakeshore Drive because I really believe that Lake Michigan is gonna commandeer Lakeshore Drive real soon. So I wanted to get off of Lakeshore Drive. So I got off and took a right because I just wanted to go west. And just the waves was not today, not with me, not tsunami, not with me, not today. I rode down the block, Schiller Street. There is a school. I don't know the name of the school. I don't know, but it's on Schiller Street. And what I saw were police officers crossing guarding this line of look like between 5 and 6, 7 year olds. There were police officers in uniforms. I didn't just think this, and I couldn't get my camera fast enough to actually take a picture of it. But this is on Schiller Street, coming off Lakeshore Drive. There were police officers that were crossing guarding these white babies. police officers. So you can sit you they can tell me that there's not enough police officers to man our streets the correct way. And now we have safe passage attendants that are volunteers that they not gonna step in the way of a car for your child. I've heard them saying, I'm not getting if the kids are on the corner fighting, I ain't getting in there because they shoot. They don't, they're just there for that safe passage corner. And our babies are still being shot up and killed up, hit, and everything else coming out of school. But on Schiller Street, coming off Lakeshore Drive, there are police officers crossing guarding those their next generation. So we didn't get here because we want to be here. We were put here.
This question is directed to you, David. Let's talk about mass incarceration in the Black community. Police are more aggressive towards Blacks than ever before because the Trump administration have given them the green light to do it. Remember during his first couple of months in his administration, he was at a police graduation ceremony and basically said the police needs to be more aggressive and show them, meaning African Americans, who is boss. And it was met by applause. My question, during the 90s, mass incarceration of Blacks was a bill format and was put on then President Bill Clinton's desk. However, the missing component of this, because a lot of people forget about this, Bill Clinton sent the bill to the Black Caucus. And the Black Caucus voted overwhelmingly because Bill Clinton, in his own record, said, I will not sign it until the Black Caucus supports it. Only two voted against it. My question is, knowing that this bill will have racial implication, why the Black Caucus voted for it without revisiting the bill?
Unfortunately, I don't sit in Washington. I don't have the privilege to pool the Black Caucus to figure out why they would agree to such an horrific bill that would damage the Black community. However, people vote according to interest. And, when you think about Blacks and whites, I would like to use the scenario those who sit in the center and those who sit on the margins. And because the distance is so great between those who sit in the center and those who sit on the margins, those in the center, they make decisions that only really help them but damage those on the margins. See, those people in the center, they want to make sure that their taxes doesn't go up. They want to make sure that they can still live in comfortable homes. They want to make sure they can still drive affordable cars. They want to make sure that their children have a great education. So they pass laws and legislations that allow them to benefit from all things, while those on the margin are suffering because of the bills and the legislation. Those on the margin are hurt by the bills and the legislation. And strangely enough, you think that your spot in the center is so safe that those on the margins can never get to you. However, those on the margins have begun to make their trek up the fear of racial lines to say, you know what, we're not just going to keep sitting here on the margins being comfortable with our little to nothing and allow you to sit in the center comfortable with all that you have. And so that bill was passed because the Black Caucus, they sit in the center. Although they're Black, they still have privileges to sit in the center. And so they can't see the harm, in my opinion, they can't see the harm that these bills cause to those on the margin. To pass a minimum, a guaranteed minimum sentence for crack cocaine, which is predominantly used by African Americans. But yet you can take that same substance without it being cooked and formatted and use it in its raw powdered sense, and you can get a slap on the wrist. Well, powder is used by white Caucasian or white America. So they create a law where they'll get a slap on the wrist But then you take that same substance, you change its form, and it's used by black people, and there's a mandatory minimum time that you have to go to jail. Both of them are using drugs.
Your thoughts?
I'll start off the same way. I am not a member of the Black Caucus. So, unfortunately, I do not know what that roundtable sit down talk is like. I don't know why, but I do believe just within the things that I do know, second, um, I do second what you're saying as far as decisions being made, bills being passed that they're with the understanding of what's going to jeopardize me and my family as well. And I definitely think that there's a big issue with the way the laws were and the way they are now, how they're upheld, how what, you know, just like history, things change. And we're still going off of everything around us has changed. The way we wake up in the morning has changed because majority of people wake up in the morning and grab their cell phone. So our way of life as we know it has been altered tremendously over the years of progression of life, but we're still basing our everyday lives off of bills and laws that were passed and were made before majority of us were born. I think that has a lot to do with it as well. I don't think that we've gotten totally away from slavery. I think that is has just been changed up a little bit as far as the white robes were taken off and some uniforms were put on. And I'm not just talking the police uniforms. I'm talking when I income taxes. I'm talking, the DMV. I'm talking just about everything that we deal with within our lives. Just like there's some people don't know that really in all actuality when it comes to driving and our driver's licenses, originally driver's license were only used for anyone that was transporting goods. There was never supposed when automobiles were first made and we went from stagecoaches to automobiles. If you had an automobile for personal use, you didn't need a license. Licenses were made for commercial use, for transporting products, for transporting goods. But now here we are in the millennium. If you don't have a driver's license, you going to jail. Unless you are maybe a Moorish American, they know how to get out of it because they bring it all. They'll bring it. I've been sitting next to one before. They'll bring it all out. But
Must have them papers.
but we can't. But I cannot say to a police officer, so for real, let's go. Everybody wants to talk about laws. Then let's go ahead and talk about the laws. Let's actually abide by the laws. I had a situation that I was in just recently, and I was at the police station actually reading the law. And I was asked, well, what's that? It's your law. And it was like, well, I don't know about that. That's not how we do things here. Well, that's your law. So now that's a problem because you're telling me in this precinct, we don't do things like that here. But I'm reading you the state law. So that's another thing. And right now I'm actually trying to have it looked into because and I'm just going to say it for anyone that has children, you need to look into this peer jury program. If they tell you that you have to sign those papers to release your child, your minor out of a police station, you do not let them intimidate you because I saw it just happen. A parent was intimidated and said, you can't sign your child out unless you sign this paper. But when I read out the paper, when I had to read it out, unfortunately, that's another thing in our communities. Unfortunately, we're ignorant to our rights. We're ignorant to the laws. and you have a police officer that's intimidating you, you've spent 6 7 hours waiting and everything else, and they intimidate you and say, well, I'm not going to let your child go if you don't sign this. And you sign it, don't read it to say that you've waived your child's rights. Just those little words. You've waived your child's rights. Now the system has your child and they're able to call you with the decision that they're going to make. So for any parent that is listening to this, just if you hear that, read that paper, please, because what's happening is our children are being railroaded. And our children, our men, our women are being railroaded off of laws that were made seasons and seasons ago. And if we found a way that our lives are better now, whoever decided internet was better for our lives, whoever decided that, social media, whoever decided that all these doggone apps that I gotta have to just to check my bank account is needed, why can't these same people understand that then maybe some new laws, some change in the laws are needed as well? We don't use the Illinois Bell in our house anymore. So why we got to use that same law from when the Illinois Bell phone was in our house? Maybe that's some of the issue.
How do we define today's black men, black males, other than the media portraying them? Right now, where media is portraying black men as flamboyant, disloyal to the black women, very abusive, very aggressive. Define today's black men other than the media. And here's the question. You mentioned, Queen, about reality shows, how they define what is the defining voice. So define the black man's role, define who they are. And should we boycott reality television in the
Yes.
black community? I'm going to throw that question out there, and then I know you want to chime in, but I'm going to give him a chance.
The black man, intelligent. The black man, faithful. The black man, resourceful. The black man, disciplined. The black man. The African American male is capable of being the supreme being on God's green earth. I read a book about 20 years ago, probably not so many, Ellis Coast, called Envy of the World. And it talked about how the black man is the most feared man on the planet. And because he is the most feared man on the planet, systems and laws are put in place to snatch the power from the black man, to make the black man feel like he's not what he was originally created to be. And so, unfortunately, TV, radio, newspaper, various forms of media is pushing a image of the black man that is not all true. I watch reality TV. I'm a black man, but I'm an educated black man. I have a master's degree. I got 2 degrees in 5 years, a bachelor's degree as well as a master's degree. Got them both done 5 years debt free because I did the research necessary to figure out how do I get 2 degrees in 5 years? Where is the money to help me get these 2 degrees in 5 years? I'm a black man that's married to a black woman. I'm a black man that's in the house with my children, raising my children. I'm a black man in my home providing for my wife, providing for my children. I'm a black man in my home who goes to church on Sunday. I'm a black man in my home who has church responsibility. I have family responsibility. I have extended family responsibilities. So all black men are not created equal. All black men are not alike. all black men may suffer from the same ills or the same issues, because when I get pulled over by police, I feel the same way as my brothers and other black men feel who don't have what I have. Because when the police pull me over, he don't see the 2 degrees.
Mhm.
He don't see that I'm a family man. He don't see that I'm married. He don't see that. All he sees is another black man that's being pulled over. So I got the same fears as all my brothers have. I got the same issues that all my brothers have. However, I just choose not to allow my fears and my issues to define me. I choose not to live my life according to the image that the media says we should be. Because although the media says one thing, it's our responsibility to portray something different. It's our
But don't you
responsibility.
think they're drowning it out
It,
by saying, don't look at the black man, look at the white man? This is what they're using black women for now. To look at the white man. Don't look at the black man anymore. They're obsolete. Don't look over there. Black women, we want you to look at the white man. You say?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's happening by design. But again, us as a community, we have to stand together. Us as a community, we have to sit down and talk. Me and Queen got to sit down and talk and say, hey, look, this is what's going on in our community. You see it, I see it. How can me and you work together to dispel this myth? How can we work together to put out another image? How can we work together so that we don't be infant they're doing? Us as a black community, our biggest issue is we need to just come together as a whole.
Do
We're
you
all in our separate silos
Mm-hmm.
doing our own thing.
Mm-hmm.
We just need to come together as a whole.
do you think it should be a boycott in reality television, even though you watch it? Do you think it should, because of the portrayal of our brothers and sisters?
Do I think I don't necessarily think there should be a boycott. What there should be is our own black and brown people need to refuse to let them portray them that way. Like, you know what? No, I'm not signing up for this. If you can't portray, because you can have some
But if
good
you're
reality
broke and they
TV.
got like, okay, we got 200,000, we got a million. Well, oh, okay.
I mean, your argument is very compelling, and I get you. But again, at the end of the day, man, we have to learn to have some discipline. We have to learn to say, you know what, I can't continue to allow you to pimp me out to the streets and make me look like a fool to my community or to society as a whole. Because again, there is some good reality TV. So to say boycott reality TV straight across the board, then that would be a stretch, but we just need to pick and choose better roles that we place ourselves in.
Very quickly because of time's sake. I know you got it, so the floor is yours.
So I definitely agree. I definitely agree with you. I do think that brothers, like everything that you said, brothers like this man here, he would only get one or two social anythings versus the young man with the gun and because they're not showing and they're not promoting men like you to the world in reality TV. And they're not showing us this black man here. They're only showing us, and when it comes to the younger black men watching, they are only watching that source of black man. They're not seeing the this source of black man that is family, that is, master's family, doing what he's supposed to do. You don't see this. We only, for as far as TV and social media and reality shows, we only see the what they want us to see. People like the little boy that's got a whole pink outfit on with the Billy Ray Cyrus, whole pink outfit on with the cowboy stuff.
Nonsense.
That's what they want our young men to see. Because if this brother can make 100 young men into exactly what he is, they got some problems. They got some trouble because he's an intelligent brother, and they don't want our young men to get into that. Do I think we should boycott reality shows? I say yeah. I say boycott them and make that understanding.
Mhm.
So I definitely get it. I mean, they be funny. Is there
Mhm.
interesting things like that?
But
But
that conversation, I mean, like to put it to, let's say, Tori Muhammad or or something to really hone in on?
I would say boycott. I would say boycott with our demands. So not necessarily say boycott to completely stop it, but boycott with our demands. Boycott. We will do reality TV, but we will no longer. We want the actual sit down. We don't want just to fight. We
Mhm.
want to boycott. We want to boycott how we're being portrayed. So I think we should boycott with demands.
All right, for timing's sake,
Mhm.
I want to give you an opportunity to promote your product and your organization. So go ahead.
So my organization is David A. Gathers Speaks, as well as the Two Gathers Foundation. David A. Gathers Speaks, we promote defying the odds. And our purpose is to help black and brown people defy the odds because we've been told we can't do this, we can't do that, we don't have enough this, we don't have enough that. And you can defy those odds and become whoever it is that God has created and ordained for you to be. The Two Gathers Foundation, what we do is we give scholarships to first generation college students so that they can go get and it's not just a 4-year university. They can go to a 2-year university, they can go to a trade school, they can learn to become a nail technician, they can learn to become a barber, and we give them scholarships in order for them to get an education so that they can compete in this economy and they can compete with their peers. And so that's me, David A. Gathers.
Okay, Queen.
Alrighty, WVOG Media Chicago. I have a total of 6 different outlets where we bring, of course, the community issues to you. And as of right now, we have a new pop up shop show that will be coming out hopefully March, April. But once again, everyone that knows me knows that I am totally for the community. I work with a lot of different people. I support a lot of different organizations.
And we'll have
So
black products and black services so you can advertise your products and your shows and stuff like that.
All right.
So thanks
thank
to
you,
Earl
thank you,
Winfrey. That's going to
Thank you,
do it for
sir.
thank
us
you.
on the Drive at 5 on intellectualradio.com. Thanks to Earl Winfrey, our executive producer, Wanda, who's behind the scenes. You have a wonderful week, everyone.